You're listening to the Real Estate Radio Hour, the show that brings you unfiltered stories and insight from the Twin Cities real estate world with your hosts, Chris Rooney, broker at RE/MAX Preferred, and Andy Presky, leader of the Preferred Home Team at RE/MAX Advantage Plus.
Buenos dias.
Hola. What is that? Buenos dias must be a new language.
Good morning.
Oh.
Espanol.
Oh, okay. So it's not a new language. I only know like 8 words. So,
Yeah.
yes, you are hiding in what country?
Spain, the Canary Islands, south the coast of Africa, with your partner taking care of her.
That would be your mother?
Yep.
Yes. 3 weeks of things. I don't know how I survive here all alone.
Andrew.
Maybe Andy can help me.
You guys ready to start the show on time?
Yeah, heck yeah. We were on only for about 30 seconds. We found out Nick's in the Canary Islands with his mother.
It is nice being super wealthy. It really has its advantages, this time of year.
Hey, the guy lives on a small salary, man. He just knows how to travel. Like, what kind of what are you paying for that stuff, Nick? Where you're
This
at?
Airbnb?
Yeah.
Oh, this one was like $900 for 2 weeks because she wanted something to feel comfortable. Normally, I could get this place for a month for $400, but Oh,
there she is.
Good morning.
Miss America, how you doing?
Does she know we're live right now?
do you? We're live.
I can't hear you.
Oh, she can't hear you because the AirPod's in.
Oh,
She went to sleep at 7 o'clock last night, woke up at 9:30 today. Now just took an afternoon nap, a siesta.
That's awesome. What do you guys got on the plans for today?
Just beach next couple of days, getting, I think, used to the time zone. And then the bigger plans are we're going to do a little kayaking in some cool area that has a bunch of sea turtles where you can go snorkeling. And then we're going to summit the highest mountain in Spain here. There's a little service that takes you all the way up there. And
Oh, cool.
so, yeah, a couple of plans, and it'll be a good little trip.
That you obviously didn't watch Shark Week last week.
Oh, that was Shark Week this week?
Yeah, and apparently tiger sharks like to eat those sea turtles, so don't fall in the kayak.
Will do. What's going on over there, guys? This market.
I don't know, Andy, about you, but it's picked up. I mean, we're actually getting showings, we're getting offers, we're getting deals done. And it wasn't, the upper bracket wasn't hurting, but it was the lower stuff that was. And so it's something happened. But again, people got to get used to it, kind of rebound. Then all of a sudden, boom, now we're back.
Well, and I think that, you also have where people are new buyers are entering the marketplace as well. And, people are always buying and selling. There's always adjustments being made. People are, living, dying, getting divorced, adding family members, taking family members away, whatever. And so there's always adjustments being made. I'm saying a lot of people where new construction, our models are starting to get a little traffic again. But for about a month and a half, it was slow. But historically, this part of July is usually slow anyway. You know what I mean? I normally see this as a great time of year for real estate agents to go on vacation,
And we got the Parade of Homes is coming up.
Yep.
In September. So that I have a feeling I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to kind of get the people out again and kind of kickstart the market. But I think we're going to see stats that come out that we got hit pretty hard in July. So
be
prepared for that.
Some of those numbers are starting to straggle in, but what's interesting is you remember when we were sitting there, I don't remember 2009 or 10 or whatever it was, and we were sitting there talking about houses on the market, and it was crazy. It was like, I don't remember, like 26,000 active listings or whatever the heck it was. It was ridiculous. And now we're still right around that 3,000 some, give or take the day of the week, whatever, at a time. And people are like, oh yeah, the market's ready to crash. And I've been watching a lot of online videos from real estate agents. And just for the record, just like us, there is no exam we have to pass to give out free information. There is no bar that we have to pass. So it's like real estate agents can spew information, loan officers can spew information. But what I always really am struggling with is a lot of these people are just pandering to the emotions of the consumer, and they're not backing things up with facts. And I'm, you and I are both that way. We're both very facts based. And you look at the market right now, there's a supply issue. We don't have enough supply for the demand. Now, the demand goes away, that'll be different. But right now, there still is demand on housing, and there's not enough supply. I mean, we're still at we just went to a 30-day market, right? And it has to be 6 months to be balanced. So we're not even close to being a buyer's market yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's funny that you were saying that about realtors. It doesn't sound like anyone has to have anything about truths in the media. And that's every which direction. I mean, you can't believe anything you hear anymore. It's just nuts.
Well, you hear what you want to hear. And then, I was looking at the AI technology behind even TikTok, and they look at which videos you watch. They look at how long you watch them. They watch if you like it, not like it, whatever. So then they keep feeding you more crap that feeds into your beliefs. And you go down this rabbit hole of, oh my God, we're doomed. Or, oh, everything's, rainbows and puppy dogs. We're fine. Let's go have an ice cream cone. So it's all about
It's all about money.
Yeah.
It's all about money. So they'll switch the narrative based on what'll get the clicks and what'll get the advertisers. So it's just it is what it is. So you kind of got to really kind of search through it. And I think that's our job, Andrew. That we
question what you see and what you hear. I mean, I was watching a bunch of TikToks yesterday. These clowns in my office want me to get on TikTok, right? So I'm doing
so do we. Me and Nick are clowns too. Yeah,
I know. You're part of the clown crew, clown posse. Maybe that's what I should call my login, Andy's Clown Posse. But I was watching a bunch of videos, and I was trying to find Minneapolis real estate agents. I was trying to find whatever to find, honestly, good feeds of information. And the people that try to be serious are so horrible. And unless you're an extreme, this is the way it is, blah, 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 and they throw it down your throat, and you got to believe them because they're screaming at you, right? Or, they're so mellow that you don't believe them anyway. You're they don't even sell a house. And you know what I'm saying? It's it's hard to track information sources. And so I'm making it my personal mission to help people figure that out.
Hey, when we talk about the market though, too, I think we need to talk about, not only housing supply, but it also turns into goods and services I went to Eden Prairie Appliance yesterday, and I was talking. I said, you know what? I'm about 4 months out. I want to be able to get these appliances. And he's like, the list went from this to about here. The things that I could actually get maybe in 4 to 5 months. And it was something on this remodel we're doing. That's why I kept a lot of the stuff, because I'm going to have to, use these other refrigerators in place of a Sub-Zero fridge or a Thermador one is a year to year and a half out.
Made over in Wisconsin, though. I like it. I like where your head's at.
What's that?
I said I like where your head is at. They're made over in Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, but you can't get them, so you can't buy them. But
I'm a big fan of their products. I like that. I like Wolf. I'd rather invest a little bit more into some of those performance. Now, again, some people will argue with you and say, well, a stove's a stove. But you look at ovens, for an example, and the temperature fluctuations. A lot of people don't realize that you set your oven to 400, and the standards that they follow will allow that to be between 400 degrees, and they go up to 25% on each side of that. So you got a great recipe, your grandma's recipe, and you keep burning it, or it's still raw in the middle, and you're following that recipe exact. That it doesn't have to be the tolerance is 20% on each side. So you know what I'm saying, Chris? It doesn't have to be 400 degrees. You check some of these cheap garbage ovens that you get, and they're 375 degrees when they're supposed to be 400, or they're 450 when they're supposed to be 400, and they burn everything. I think we've all been through that, right? It's kind of the same with the air fryer things. I was watching a guy go, whoa, I never put mine over 350. And I'm I can't even get chicken nuggets to crisp up until I'm at 400. So it's
Yeah, I was told about dual fuel on those ranges. Electric is a lot better for the bakers, I guess. So
it is.
Yeah.
I have actually, not to sound like an arrogant guy, but I do have a nice Wolf oven, and I have a dual fuel where it has electric and gas. And it's absolutely who's baking today and what do you like?
Really?
It's really cool. It's worth the extra money, I think. But
yeah. Awesome. What are we doing next, Nick?
Hey, I got a couple real estate stereotypes I want you guys to check out. I was laughing when I found them. So here we go.
Guy who thinks selling real estate's a personality trait starter pack. You got to get the haircut.
got it. Check.
Lisa, yeah, exactly. Eddie, that's you. Lisa, really good car, look good, sell good. Can't wait to start my multifamily fund. What's a what? Oh my god! And then business casual suit. I don't think we see a lot of that anymore.
We didn't screen this one, did we, Chris?
No.
I think it's the younger realtors, like my generation.
Use body parts in their reference there.
I didn't read that, Andy,
God.
so that won't be on the podcast part.
You can't find good help today. You just you take what you find, and you.
This is what it's supposed to be. This is what gets listeners more shock and awe. But
Let's pull back that slide and let's read it then, Chris.
Hey, you see my fountain out there, Andy?
I do. Yeah.
But,
That's the biggest pool I've ever seen next to a lake.
Yeah, I know. It is. It's got a nice little pool. Actually, I got a client that just did that. He made this huge pond and he's turned it into a pool. And it's like the coolest thing. He's got a big fountain in the middle.
Yeah.
And it's like the place everyone wants to go.
The natural pond pools are pretty cool right now because they can do them for about half the price. And they just naturally keep turning, the balance of the bacterias and the whatever because they have plants in them. Yeah. And it's really cool, actually.
Yeah. He built a deck over it, so it's a platform where you can jump in. It's 15 feet deep. It's crazy.
Cool.
Yeah, really cool. What were we talking about? Oh, those things. I think you see a lot more realtors now, whereas a long time ago it used to be suits and ties, and now it's much more casual than it's ever been. And that's at a lot of all the market segments, really. I mean, except for the upper stuff.
Yeah, you know me. I've been kind of Andy since 99 or whatever, where I just do my thing. But I'm comfortable. And if you're comfortable with me, let's do business. And I don't need to, if the words coming out of my mouth or the record that I have behind me doesn't impress you or doesn't make you feel compelled to want to do business, I'm okay with that. If you want a poser that dresses nice and drives a car that's leased and he's ready to miss a payment, I mean, good for you.
You don't think people are intimidated by that hair, though? I mean,
this weatherman here, yeah. Thank God they invented gel. That's all I got to say. I keep them all in business.
Yeah.
Bloop.
Now we got a girl starter pack. Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
I got to read ahead. The nice hair. Another lease, and probably sells it. What is this?
Shops at Zara.
Oh my gosh.
Possibly sells with a.
She's a boss, babe. I wish Selling Sunset was more accurate. One of these emojis are in her Insta bio. I don't know. I've seen some girls, realtors that are kind of like this that you guys know.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah. I'm just not as quick with the reading.
Yeah. I mean, social media is obviously a very powerful thing. And I say it does work. There's no question it works for certain people. So I'm not going to rip it. I mean, we're not doing TikToks. We're not doing a lot of videos and stuff like that. But people that are, I mean, it's working for them. So.
And I just have a hard time. I think it's a Gen X thing. We want things to be perfect. We don't want to look like a fool. So I'd rather wait and figure it out and think about it than to do it. And that's where they tell us all in our era that we're making the wrong choice. We should be just doing it. And, Yeah.
Okay. So if realtors like you guys don't do TikToks every day, then what are you doing with your time? We're going to go through a day in the life of a real estate agent. And this segment is going to be brought to you by Andy Praske, Preferred Home Team.
Well, they said I could have 30 seconds on the show for a quick ad. Andy Praske, Remax Advantage Plus, Andy@Praske.com if you want to email us. here's the thing, 22 years in the business, over 1,400 sales. I'd like to help you with your real estate needs. If that's buying, if that's selling, if that's building, whatever it is, give us a call, send us an email. Let's get you started on your real estate journey. I'd like to help you on the way. Lots of experience here, and I would like to put it to work for you. Andy Prasky, Remax Advantage Plus. Thanks for listening to the show.
I think a day.
Are you distracted in your office, Chris?
No, not at all. Not at all. What was that, by the way?
A wooden backhoe tractor that was a gift, and I can't stop playing with it. I'm doing CMAs. It sits on my desk, and I'm like, that's so cool. How did they make this part? How did they make? I'm in awe of the craftsmanship.
It is. That is kind of a cool. Whatever is that? A backhoe or a front hoe or?
We prefer to call these excavators, Chris. They, yeah, it's pretty cute.
It is
all wood. The whole
all
thing.
wood. Neat.
Except the part I broke already.
Hey, quick thing. So in the States, what does the person who runs that usually makes, you think, per hour?
An excavator? I bet you make
$125,000
a year.
Okay, so my buddy does this for a mine in Far East Poland, and he was making $5.50 an hour.
Running that machine.
Crazy, huh?
I know in northern Minnesota, running the ore pits, they do, when they are working, they make really good money. The average miner is over $100,000. I think they're like $125,000 starting. So they make really good money. But then when they stop, they just, you're done.
I think this segment is kind of interesting to me. A day in the life of a realtor. I mean, Andy, could you?
Not a real man. Have you ever seen their show and how funny he makes real estate look?
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. Here's what I think about a day in the life is that there's really not, unless you're a real big time prospecting person, I think there's I think your schedules are pretty much new almost every day. I see us it used to be every Saturday morning. I knew that was set, but now it's every Thursday morning that's set.
Yep.
Other than that, I don't really have, I would say a set schedule, but would you, I would definitely say our business is 7 days a week. Yep. Even though we might not work 7 days a week, I think it changes.
You're on call.
Yeah. So I'll do it. If I work a long weekend and I'm showing Saturdays and Sundays or have open houses, or if it's during like the parade of homes when we're doing that, a Monday might be completely off, and maybe a Wednesday might be off as well.
Right.
Or hey, you take off during the day and then you show at houses in the evening. But we pretty much have to work when other people are not working. We got to be able to kind of get them in to
For
houses.
sure. You have to be available when they want you there. So what's been really kind of cool is that more now than ever have actually more appointments during the day because of the schedules people have, where they're working from home and they're like, hey, I have a conference call between this time and this time, but if you want to come around noon, I'll take a break. Let's walk through the house. Let's get, figure it out. And I've enjoyed that a little bit. It brings a little normalcy to my world. So I can make the nephews, football and baseball games. And I like that. I can occasionally get away to the lake, which is just, it's kind of nice to feel normal. I've always said that, like a lot of real estate agents over the years, you sit there and you run a career, and to be proper and to handle your clients as they need you, you do have to kind of be available when they need you. Now, do you need to work every day of the week, 7 days a week for 5 years straight? No. But I do recommend that when you're available, and be available, because they're going to call you after 5 at night, guys. They're not going to call you when you want them to call in the mornings. Like right now, when we're drinking coffee and playing with the dog in the morning and watching the birds chirp around the old fountain. And now you get to the point of where if you're not available and you're not resourceful, there's a real value proposition there. And one of the things that what I find myself explaining quite a bit is, what are the differences between like a flat fee service or like a guaranteed offer or traditional listing services And it actually surprises me that a lot of people think pepperoni pizza is a pepperoni pizza. And to that, I say, let's go buy some for $5. Let's go buy some for $25. Let's buy everything in between. And you tell me which is the best pizza. A lot of times it's not the $5 or the whatever. It just isn't. But it's food, right? It's food.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah. But I mean, if you really think about it, it does serve a purpose. Now, are you trying to impress your buddies from high school and you want to go back to that pizza pie shop that, you all went to when you were kids, and you let the owner know that you're doing this and they make it extra, extra. And, that's important. I mean, and it's so same thing with real estate. I spend a lot of time helping people understand and decipher the differences. And, what's really interesting to me is like, and I don't do it to be a hater, but I'll tell you what, like these guaranteed offers. Well, if you take a look right now, the federal government just fined Open Door $63 million for deceptive business practices. I haven't been fined that because I don't do that. And are they giving the perception that everything's so easy, you don't have to do anything, we give you all this money, and it anyway.
Yeah, I think, too, we look at realtors, Andy, and what percentage do you think of realtors have another job? I mean, it's way over half.
High.
It's way over half. I mean, because half the realtors don't even sell a house a year. So it's got to be probably 70% of the realtors have another job.
Yeah.
And so their schedule is a lot different. And sometimes they can be a lot more efficient than the other people that only are in real estate, because they have to be more like, their time has got to be utilized well. A lot of realtors are, hey, I don't have to make that call. I don't have to do this. And then, I'll just do it tomorrow because I don't really have anything going, where they're like, boom, 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 and on it.
Yeah. Yeah. They can't afford to make any mistakes. They have fewer deals happening. But if you think about being part-time, like you're saying, Chris, they have a regular job that supports them. And so in their free time, they're doing what they're really passionate about. Yeah. And I think there can be a real win there, especially if they're partnered on a team. I've struggled with people that are on their own when they're part-time, because I'll have to return the call when my shift is over or when my whatever. On the other hand, if they have a team where there's partners, where, you can call in the middle of the day, somebody still answers the phone. You don't miss that opportunity to go look at a new listing, or if something happens, they can respond. It's kind of like going fishing. You sit there and the bobber goes down, you wait 10 minutes to get to the bobber. Guess what? Fish gets away. Probably takes your worm with it. And, if you're not there to grab it when it goes, I think there's something to be said for full-time real estate agents. And that's, some of the questions I ask people are like, what are you looking for with a real estate agent? Can you deal with a part-time agent, or do you want somebody that's full-time with a staff?
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes people use that from a marketing perspective as well. I mean, those questions that you asked, I mean, you're obviously a full-time realtor, but are you looking for a full-time realtor? Well, what do you mean? Now they're going to ask the other people, are you a full-time realtor?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a great question. And the other thing I was like looking at this week, and I'm not going to name names, but I will if you call me. So we had a deal we were working on where there was a discount broker on the other side of the transaction. And the discount broker's like, I honestly don't give a crap what you guys do. I'm making $1,000 and just hurry up and get it over with. Are you going to cancel? Are you going to stay? Are you going to sue us? Are you not going to sue us? I just don't have time for this. That's the person representing you guys. And I'm sitting there looking at this seller who has an issue and they have a problem. And this agent is like, I'm not making any money. So hence, I don't care about them. And this person thinks they got a great deal hiring a discount broker that'll do it for $1,000. And I'm like, whoo, I wish there was a video that person would give testimonial and they could play it online so people understand. Now, Chris, let's say you're a retired real estate agent and down the road in 20 years, you decide to sell a house and you hire a discount broker because you can kind of monitor what's going on. I get that. You can probably do it yourself, really. You know what I mean? In your situation, I would understand it. But for the average consumer, and then they're like, as the market shifts, I'm like, holy crap, right now you could walk away with $30,000 less in your pocket, miss marketing a property right now. And why would you do that to yourself?
You know, Andy, I'm a full-time realtor that's been doing it 32 years, and I sell a good fair amount, and I won't even represent myself.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just not smart to do it. You gotta, you don't do it. You hire the right person and get it done. So,
Yep, I agree. I feel like I keep needing to back up. My head's like way bigger than yours. Hey, you guys really do this show yourself?
All right.
Need to go like this.
I'm going to make my head bigger.
There you are, boy.
Yeah, there we go.
We can see your pool and your servants out there better that way.
All right, we're going to go into how luxury properties have changed in the past 20 years, and it's going to be brought to you by Chris Rooney, Home Experts.
I was just 1 year old when my family started in real estate, where both my parents were agents. They also dabbled in investing in real estate, rentals, flips, and construction. After college, I went right into getting my license in July of 1990. As a 23-year-old agent in an industry that looks nothing like today, I had to know more for my clients to choose me. There wasn't Zillow or social media to tell them how good I was. I had to win them over with knowledge. With knowledge comes confidence, and with confidence comes results.
Well, that never
to be honest with you, your wife got way better looking now. She was young and cute. Now she's vavoom.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a Spanish term, I think, or wherever she is.
Yeah, she's in Spain. You are correct. Yeah. Hey, I think this to me is a very interesting question in how luxury properties have changed, because you get to see what the luxury properties were now, because most of those guys haven't redone their house, but they're starting to. We've got different areas like parts of the wilds. I mean, if we're talking south of the river, like a Legends golf course. A lot of those were done late 90s, early 2000s type thing, which is now 20 years. And I think the big difference, a stucco, I think is a big difference. What happened? Size, big, huge, monster houses. Rooms that maybe you didn't use, the big formal dining rooms, eat-in kitchens where they didn't have that flex space now. And then I would say lots of woodwork and cabinetry, a lot more expensive stuff. And I think now luxury market, I would kind of put that in with lifestyle as well. So it's not only just luxury, it's more about lifestyle and having areas and spaces that you're going to use, rather than just make this a palatial estate. Maybe you're going to kind of bring it down, but you're going to add, pools, or you're going to have that one flex room that's amazing. You're going to put, back then, obviously the appliances were higher too, but the things that you enjoy and like to do. And I think in the old days, you had to kind of do all of those things. Mm-hmm. So you had to have a theater room, you had to have a wood burning fireplace. I don't know.
When those houses were being built back in the day, though, you look at like price points, and some of those high-end houses were $450, 500, and a regular house was 100, right? And so they were way up there. Now they're with remodeling, my gosh, you could spend another $500,000 on remodeling a big home like that easy. And you know what I mean? And I'm curious, what do you think, being the kind of local guy down there, expert on that, what do you think the average complete home renovation project, what do people budget? Do you budget at least the original purchase price of the house? Do you have a square foot number? What or how do you do that, Chris?
Well, I'll tell you what, it really depends how far you're going to go on it. A lot of people will kind of do the halfway thing, where the kitchen, we're not going to totally, renovate it and get rid of it, but maybe we're going to switch out the doors and then have them painted. But I would say a lot of these houses are easily in the $300,000 to $500,000 range that, they're redoing, because you have to do a lot of stuff. It comes to, trim. How about railings? You're taking out tile and putting in wood floors. If you're redoing the kitchen, adding, barn doors and exterior looks, LP versus stucco.
Isn't that the didn't we on that one house we bought for the radio we were going to flip, wasn't that renovation like $460,000? and everybody got cold feet because they didn't think they could make money on it for the charity.
Yeah.
Wasn't that on that golf course, or was that on another one down there?
It was totally on Legends, but it was also 6,500 square feet that you have to redo. But then you got to kind of pick and choose, and I think that's where people get in a little trouble. And I think if you think you're going to spend 300, you might say it's going to be 500, because you can't just totally redo a little piece of it, then have the rest not. If you're looking to sell. Now, if you're just looking to stay there and this is what works for you, that's fantastic. But you got to be real careful. There's ways in which to be able to, get that next level pricing if you're going to sell. And it might not be some of the things that you want to do, but it's what's going to sell to the public. And you have to get rid of, like brass. I mean, you start going into the brass fixtures. I mean, shiny brass, not the stuff that they're using
not
now.
The brushed.
Yeah. But you see it in fireplaces, you see it in shower doors, you see it in plumbing fixtures, you see it on door hardware. I mean, you see it on a lot of stuff. And after you start compiling those, I mean, all of a sudden it's 50 grand, just like that.
Yeah.
To be able to replace that stuff. So,
it's an interesting project, because, you look at even with automobiles, and I always relate weird things like that, but you look at a car, for an example, and are you going to bring a complete restoration and, spend $400,000 on a restoration, or are you going to, just put some fresh tires and give it a tune up and drive around in original, format, right? And that's with remodeling is kind of the same thing. And I think you really need the eyes or guidance with a local professional to really make sure you're not miscalculating, because man, you don't want to take a house and turn it into a rat rod if nobody's buying rat rods, you know what I mean? And you spend a ton of money doing it, and all of a sudden you basically now have a house to rent,
I've got a listing coming up, Andy, that, I mean, it's there, but it could use some more. But then if you do some of it, you have to do all of it. And I think it's good enough. But what they do have is they have an amazing lot on a cul-de-sac, but that's very, very overgrown.
Yeah.
And what I'm suggesting is that's where we spend the money, because people can justify a lot by getting a good lot. So they'll be like, oh my gosh, we've got this. And then, oh, this is good for me, but no, you know what? I need to redo that kitchen. And they can specify and kind of pick what they want to do, rather than us guessing all the things that they might want. Yep. And by getting that lot and making it bigger, like this house, everything got overgrown, so you can't really see it. And it's hard. It's really hard for a seller to be able to say, oh yeah, Chris, that's great. Let's cut down these 3 trees and basically strip the rest of these guys and open this up. But oh my God, what's going to happen?
I'll tell you what, Chris, you're 1,000,000% on the money. I've got a good friend of mine that in northern Minnesota buys lake lots. And a lot of times he buys them really cheap because nobody can visualize what the potential is. And all they do is follow the rules, and they clear the trees out, or they make a path, or they open things up, or they trim everything higher. They do some regrading to make it where now things become, oh, that's a nice slope instead of a cliff or whatever. Or they put the driveways in where the driveway was never in before, just so people can drive onto the lot. Those simple things. And these guys are like doubling their money on these lots. And all they're doing is helping people visualize what could be there. And that's a small term developer. So when you have goggles on where you're going to buy a high-end home, I think that's fantastic advice that you just gave, where you say, look at the lot, look at the potential, and then decide on pricing. Because you're right, with an exceptional piece of property, people will decide to make a different level of investment versus if it's, I always look at like Lake Minnetonka, and you've got a $5 million house on the lake. And then the guy across the street says, well, geez, there's a fancy house across the street on the lake there. I'm going to build my $1 million house across the street. Well, guess what happens to the guy across the street that tries to sell for $1 million in the future? Everybody says that idiot thought he was on the lake and you wanted to live that lifestyle, but wasn't on the lake. And all of a sudden it sells for 400,000, or whatever. And it's like, you do have to be a little careful.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I think people don't realize, and it's a thing that people may think about when they're looking at houses, is the maintenance that's involved, whether or not it's acreage, or you start seeing overgrown, or even on the lake where you can't see things, that they start thinking of that house as work. And the more work it is, then it becomes a lot less valuable to them. And it's one of those things that if you just get them to look past that, I get the greatest example, and it's the house that I used to have. And I had 7.5 acres, and basically we mowed 6 acres of it. It looked fantastic when it was mowed. But if I would have left weeds, and kind of let it go and not cleaned it up, it would have been a huge maintenance issue for the next person. And that's what they would have been thinking about. They're like, and they just pass. And then all of a sudden that weird bedroom that I had on the second floor is all of a sudden that's the problem. But the reality is it was like, oh my gosh, how are we going to keep that mowed? Who am I going to have to pay to do that? And I've got to fix it all. And that's going to be huge money. There's another property in Credit River that we went out to look at it, and they had a bunch of weeds. They had a landscape company there at the same time of our showing where 15 people came. 15, I counted them. 15 were out there picking weeds and kind of remulching and doing that. And also, just the ding, 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 alarms went off with the buyer. And they're just saying, geez, it's one thing buying this thing, but we'd have to maintain this thing. That's all we'd be doing. Now you're not enjoying it. But by seeing those workers there and then, slowly doing it, you have to have that stuff done for people.
It was a few years ago. I had a house that was on a large acreage like that and a lot of mowing. And instead of doing a discount or, not having the lawn maintained to that scale, they wanted to let a lot of it go back to prairie. And people were like, I just don't want to mow for 4 hours a week. And so it got to the point of where we, to sell that house, Chris, had to offer 1 year of free lawn maintenance from a company. And the people got to move in and enjoy it. And then eventually they hired that firm, and it just became an expense, and having that much yard was very nice. And it's,
Well, even if you can get someone to get it manageable and then take it over. So that 1 year might get them to that point.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, exactly.
Got to be creative. Good job.
He's on the beach, isn't he?
He did go to the beach.
Yeah. He's like, no, I can have breakfast. Don't worry about it.
This is the script I use when I make cold calls. Bob, my name is Brandon. We've never spoke before, but I was hoping to tell you why I called, and then you can decide if we need to talk or not. Would that be okay? And the reason why this works so well, you guys, is because of human psychology. There's two things at play here. One is psychological reactance, which simply put is when somebody feels as though their ability to make their own decisions are at risk, they will push back. So we have to get the prospect's permission to have the conversation. So it becomes their idea that they got to decide that we should talk, not ours. And two, which is the principle of consistency. Once somebody verbalizes a commitment, the likelihood for them to behave in alignment with that commitment are a lot higher.
Just had a guy do it to me, and I listened. And I ended up having a meeting with that person because of that exact, what that guy just did to me. But I wish I would have had that 32 years ago when I decided to do cold calls. And I retired after 3 of them. Didn't have that theory. So.
Yeah, I struggle with, I don't, when I was younger, I used to do cold calls for my dad, when we were he was in the cabinet business, and I would call builders and ask them if they wanted, we'd get the Keystone report, show all the builders that pulled permits, and then I'd call them and, hey, looking for a bid on your cabinets? Hey, looking for a bid on your cabinets? Do what to my what? Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Goodbye. It was crazy how many times, it was ineffective just because you're boring them or whatever. And so then I had to change it up too. I got to the point where I got pretty clever. I'd say, hey, I might have a way to save you 15% on your cabinet costs and get you a better looking product to sell more houses. Would you be interested in having us take a look at it? They're like, yeah, we would. And all of a sudden it changed the way we were. Also, now we're booking appointments versus before and I don't know, for 15% cheaper.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're good at it, but I'll tell you what, cold calling has become a lot easier as technology. When you have that Mojo dialer that it's calling 3-4 people at a time and you're constantly on the phone, because a lot of times with that whole cold calling thing, it was just, geez, no one answers. 30 calls, and you have to dial each number, hey, oh, no, try the next one. That's what would stop a lot of people. Now they have technology that just dials you and just patches you in. I know when I'm on one, it's that little delay, that happens, and it's like, oh geez, here I go. They're just dialing everyone, and then they're trying to figure out who I am. When the computer pops up and says your name. So
yeah.
But
when I say hi, this is Andy, you do the old hi, this is Andy, and they go, yeah, hello, is Andy there?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, he's not.
Yeah, no, he's not.
The easiest way real estate agents are making an extra $100,000 every single year. They rent out apartment complexes like this one. Real estate agents approach landlords and real estate holding companies and offer to rent out their vacant apartments. I had the opportunity to rent out all the vacant apartments of this beautiful building. The smallest apartment in this building goes for $1,450 a month, and the largest apartment goes for $2,900 a month. The average rent in the building is about $2,100 a month. There are 70 units, and I get paid 1 month's rent for each unit that I rent out. So if I rent out this apartment for $2,100, I get paid $2,100 in commission. Meaning, if I rent out only half the units in this building at an average of $2,100 a month, I'm making $73,000. And there's so many buildings like this one that have vacant apartments, so start renting. For more real estate facts and tips, follow me on TikTok.
Nah, I'm good.
I think two things: the presentation there is, but secondly, showing rentals is a total pain.
Well, didn't she do okay? Let's do her math for a second. You'll make an extra $100,000 a year leasing out a building like this, and then she shows you that she's only making $73,000 a year. She's off by what, 30%?
Hey, that was just one of her buildings, Andy.
She shows that she's getting 1 month's rent off every unit. She's not. There's 6 available units right now in that building, and everybody has a 1-year lease. So it's like eventually it'll catch up, but yeah.
Hey, it's TikTok, Andy.
It's real, Chris. It's real.
It totally is. Everything is.
It's on the internet.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a real estate agent post their listing on social media? It's got the address, the price, and some pictures. The problem with doing this is it doesn't really add any value to the people who are watching you. They could go get the same information on Zillow or any other website. If you're trying to build your social media as a realtor, you should be doing other forms of content. Do entertaining home tours on video. Chop it up into cool TikTok or reels like this. Let buyers and sellers know what's going on with the market and different things that are happening. There are a ton of different ways to do social media the right way to get organic leads that make you money. And at my company, Wealthy Agent, we teach realtors how to do exactly that, plus a whole bunch more. If you want to learn about how we can help you, DM me the word wealth, and I'll send you some information today.
True. That one I like better. These are more like TikToks that are geared towards real estate agents. So like you and I go on TikTok, and that's the kind of stuff that feeds to guys like you and me.
We gotta get some TikToker realtors on here, so they can enlighten us and then talk you into it, because I haven't been very good at talking you into it, Andy.
I just, and I'm going to say this is going to sound a little bit arrogant. If you're already so busy, you don't have time to do it. You know what I mean? I don't want to wait until I'm slower and then I have the time to do it. So I'm forcing myself to carve into it. But what part of your day would you carve out to create content that's questionably watched or that gives you a maybe return versus a customer that calls you that wants a market analysis right now today, and I'll go do that and make money, you know what I'm saying? Or help that customer, which eventually makes you money, right? Versus I don't know.
It is funny. We have agents that I've dealt with in our office, and you see they all of a sudden they're doing the right things, and they know what actually is on the forums, and they're getting back with their clients, and their clients are coming back with them. Then all of a sudden, year 7, they're like, oh my gosh, I got to do something else. I got to do TikTok videos. So it's like, okay, hold on a minute. You're successful at what you're doing. You're growing it, but it's like you get to a point and then you think you have to keep doing more in which to be able to do it. And yeah, maybe you do, but you don't have to just flip everything and go away from what's working for you. Because it's true. I mean, those videos, well, and Nick can probably tell us, he does a lot of stuff with his podcast and stuff, but how long those videos take. And that's if you're able to do it, because you got to film it, and then you got to edit it, and then you got to be able to post it, well, there's 3 of those things that I can't do. And so then you have to get other people in which to do it. Then you're on their time. So that takes a lot of work in which to be able to do it.
Chris, and here's the interesting thing. So there, as different generations process things differently, there's a whole, generation of Gen Z coming up that they process information in tunnels. And I was reading some articles about this, how people process like Instagram. Well, you and I have one Instagram account. We try to do everything with it. Whereas other people will have tunnels of, here's my Instagram profile for real estate, or here's mine for buying a car, or here's mine for my hobby, or whatever. And so they may have 4 or 5 Instagram accounts as one person. And then when they log in on that profile, they dig, and they just consume content, and they watch all 50 of your videos in a row, or they do whatever. And that's how they kind of organize their thoughts. And instead of us like the joking on those TV commercials where they say, you don't have to print the internet, right? Versus that to be something totally that you and I would do. Like, see, look at this. This is what I want to do. And they joke with it, but versus saving it and storing it in tunnels. And so it's an interesting way to look at it, and then what people will do is when they're not in that mindset, they're not in that tunnel, you're not making impressions on those people. But when they do get into it, you want to have a consistent message. And that's, I think, the key thing, like you and I'd rather go to an event, a golf course. So there you go. An event.
That's my post right there, baby. How about that one?
That's everyday life for me on new construction.
That's marketing right there. Some people might call this bad marketing, and I call it feel sorry for my agent promotion. I mean, that sign was, destroyed. And that's a big sign. Those are expensive. But someone just hit it and re-hit it and hit it again.
Oh, no, you'd have to put effort into making it look like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I do the same thing on new builds. We'll put them in the front yard. And I'm like, I put it right next to the water post, right where the city water is a lot of times. And you think they'll never hit this because they can't hit the water post. And I'll come out there and they'll destroy a $150 sign, and it's wrapped up. Must have got around their tire, and they spun the tire on it, and it breaks the frames, and then they throw it in the pile like it's garbage. Totally. And so I started invoicing my guys, and the siders were doing it. And then when the siders didn't do it, it was the final grade guys. And I go, I don't think you guys understand. These are $175 a piece plus install. And when you run them over, it's crazy. But it's like, I get that you don't care or that you think it's in your way, so you just run it over to prove a point. Problem is that if I don't have those signs in the yard, you don't have a job.
Yeah.
True.
Realtors are necessary evil. Remember that.
Yeah. Evil and necessary. Wait.
Got nothing in my brain. Got nothing in my brain.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's it's unfortunate. There's a reason they can't qualify if they're paying for rent. People can't get ahead, and I don't know.
Well, they talk about that. Look at the corporate profits of all these huge leasing companies. They're up like 60% on revenues. They've been raising rents like crazy. They'll keep raising their rents until you literally are almost drowning, and then they'll slow it down. That's the goal, is to suck the cash out of you as much as they possibly can. And right now they're in a perfect spot to keep doing it.
I always talk about I had an apartment building on 91st and Lindale, and we accepted Section 8. And so with doing that, your rents are higher. For the quality of your unit. And the complex right next to us didn't do Section 8. So their rents were less. And what's crazy about it, so we go to sell it, and we both kind of sold kind of around the same time. We made $400,000 more because the investor looked at it and said, hey, they're getting more rent than what these people are. Those other units were in better shape. And it's like the things that they think they're doing to be able to help out the poor people is only helping the people make more money. The people that have the money, it's crazy.
That was not too far from that. Devani's you and I would occasionally hit, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember that one.
So, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I've got to probably move for my job. I've been looking at listings and anticipation of this. Every single one says sequestered master bedroom. All of them. Really? Have you ever heard of a sequestered master bedroom?
I'm going to have to Google the word sequestered.
I think that means maybe by itself. That was maybe a big time pandemic word, but it is interesting. Now, what are they calling master bedrooms now? Can't call it master bedroom.
Well, just
call it the primary bedroom.
The primary or the owner suite or the, whatever.
Hey, owner is like you're a slave owner. You can't say that either.
I don't relate it that way, but okay.
I know. But that's what they say, though. So,
yeah. So what do you call it?
What do I call what?
The biggest bedroom in the house?
Master bedroom.
Yeah.
That's what I call it. But I think we're supposed to call it the primary bedroom, I don't know. Even if you say a bedroom, that might be discriminatory towards a
primary, secondary. So not as important as you are. Yeah, you're right. Because I pay the payment on the house. I outrank you, right? Yeah. It's whoever pays the bills room.
It could be a beanbag room.
Yeah.
It could. You can't. It's
these people I ran into a guy that was in his 50s a couple of years ago. We got divorced and we helped him buy a townhouse. And we were sitting there and we were kind of going through the house and we were laying it out. And I like this guy, so I was hanging out with him. And he goes, well, I need to do some electric work in here. So do you got any electricians that could come in and help me? And I go, sure. The electrician calls me, goes, he's putting neon beer signs up on the walls. And he's hanging where the old fan used to be. He's dropping a pool table light. He's putting like a full size, like regulation size pool table in his master or his primary. And he goes, and I call him and I go, hey, what's going on? And he goes, oh, this is so awesome. He goes, I never really sleep anyway. So I just put a futon in one of the bedrooms to sleep on. And then he goes, and then I set up a game room. Oh, it's so cool. I love it.
Hey, how we live and how we sell are always two different things.
Yeah, well, and boys will be boys, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's fun. Good job for him.
Yep.
Okay, what does this say? Can someone explain how and why apartments can be rented out for an equivalent of a home mortgage in the same area? Pretty simple. The rent for our apartment's been raised from $1,600 to a little over $2,000. And we're purchasing a house with a value of $380 in the same area, and they were quoted about $2,400 a month. Now, obviously, that went up because of the interest rates. I'm aware this is incredibly naive, but I've always thought apartments should be significantly cheaper because you're paying to have less compared to owning a whole house. Can someone help me understand how that helps or how that works? Well, I'll tell you what. If bananas, all the other bananas are going for, $5. You're not going to keep selling the bananas at $2. So that rent is going to go up to $4 to $5 and just stay under those brand new special bananas that are packaged maybe a little different. But it's just what it is. It's a supply and demand issue. There's not a lot of rentals. They're just going to push them up. And if you don't have any choice, that's what you got. That's what you got. That's what you get.
I think that's a perfect example of why realtors just can't believe people rent apartments.
Yeah.
Right? How can somebody be that foolish? And they're like, well, but I don't want to buy a house and then have to sell it in 2 years. I'd rather rent. Well, you don't get appreciation on an apartment, guys. You know what I'm saying? It's like in the event that there's appreciation to be had, right? So in normal markets, we do have, a 4 or 5% return, and you're making that on top of having the ability to turn that into an investment property if you have to move, rental or whatever you want. And there's lots of options when you buy. One thing is that payment is locked in for 15 or 30 years. And at the end of paying it for that long, they give it to you. You lock into an apartment, they don't lock in. They do lease by lease. So every 2 years, you're resetting your rent, and I guarantee it's not going down. It's going to keep going up and up and up and up as you live there. And at the end of the lease, they're going to say, you want to sign another lease 30 years down the road? You don't own anything.
Andy, a long time ago, back in the radio days, you said something that kind of resonated with me from a tenant perspective. And you said that you don't get to decide if you stay there or not. And so sometimes people think, hey, I'm renting. I can just rent forever. Oh, no. I'll tell you what happened in the last couple of years. It's like, you know what? I'm done. I'm selling. So the landlord's selling. So now you're out. And it's not like you can sit there. Most landlords want somebody to stay there for 15 years. That would be perfect. Pay off your mortgage the whole time. I never have to do a turn or anything, but that's just not the case anymore. So it's like, if you want some sort of, decision on where your life is going, owning a house, you can decide that a heck of a lot better than trying to make sure that Andy's going to stay renting to me for the next 15 years, because it's not happening anymore.
There you go.
Look at that. I remember that from a long time ago, Andy. You just.
I remember a lot of things. What's funny is that when we were, it seemed like it was a different kind of an elevated program at that time when we were doing that. And we'd get pretty deep into some of these topics. And I mean, that was good stuff, man. We'd bring in some of those, like leasing companies, we would do whatever. And I think that we should do that again, where we deep dive on some of these topics, because there's some of them where you kind of scratch the surface and it's light and fluffy, but I think, there's listeners out there and viewers that would like to see us dive a little deeper again in that. Talk about like, why do people buy apartment buildings? Why do people buy rental properties? Why do, it's because they're rich. Well, that's a very superficial level to think. They do it for stability. They do it for income. They do it for tax write-offs. They do it for, return on investment. There's so many, I don't know, other ways to look at things in the world.
So we should stop trying to get the attention of the everyday person in real estate and go into the PhD stuff?
Well, once in a while, I do think so. I think that there should be once in a while where if we do a deeper dive, and I'm okay with, I like what we do. I'm just saying, like, a lot of times we're moving quick, and I'd like to say, let's bring in an expert, like, remember what was her name that she was such a spitfire with the leasing company. Yes. Oh my God. I love her. She would just literally look at us and like slap us and say, listen, she was fun.
When she started talking, though, we could go get a coffee or get a bathroom break. We just let her go.
Head to the break room.
She would. She is something else, that lady.
Hey, I have a question, though, about the last topic. Would you recommend anyone to rent over buy? I mean, look at people with like my kind of lifestyle. Obviously, owning stuff is a lot harder, and I'm moving place to place.
I would recommend people to rent in certain situations, especially if your career is fluctuating. You're not sure where you're going next, because there is one thing. I mean, obviously it would have worked out for you for the last few years, but if you do have to turn around and sell it, and let's just say that you are kind of a nomadic person that doesn't have like a lot of furniture, because you got to get a lot of furniture and you don't want to move it across country. You got to start factoring in, I got to pay a realtor in which to sell this. I got to stage this thing so it looks good, so I get the most money. And then I got to take my furniture and I got to get it to the next place that I'm going. And sometimes I think just have some flexibility of just know that it's not probably a long-term solution.
Well, and I don't disagree with Chris. I think that there's a little bit of a false sense of security with that lifestyle, that you think it's going to be that way forever. And there's always going to be safety where the rent is cheap, or it's always going to be, I'm on the ocean for $300 a week. Things change, and what'll happen is eventually you may be forced into finding something that's affordable. Because what if all of a sudden it goes to $6,000 a week to be in Carnes on the beach? Your American dollar doesn't go as far. Like, we go to crypto, you're screwed, bro. I mean, all of a sudden everything goes, I'm being serious right now. Because if everything goes equal, that their $400 is like, let's say $3,000 for us in our American dollars, right? But it transfers. It's the translation that you're making the gap on. That's where you're gaining the gains on it. It's not like they truly only think that place is worth $200 or $400 a week. They think it's worth $3,000, but that's their version of $3,000 because they want to have that unit leased or filled. And so it's just an interesting. You're in a great spot to explore and see things, and I would do it as long as I could. But then again, you get to a point of where, as you get older and you decide, hey, I want to have maybe you decide to have wife and kids or whatever, and you want to settle. I've got a buddy of mine that's traveling all over Malaysia, all over China, and he has his children. They're traveling and they're doing English teaching at different schools. So they come in and do a segment where they teach English, and the kids are, I mean, my God, it's like watching a TV show, their lifestyles, and then they'll take a weekend and go somewhere, and they do a lot of the same cool things. They're like, they laugh at, because they're from New Ulm, Minnesota, and they kind of get a kick out of how cheap they can buy beer around the world. And so he always says, hey, this is a beer from Singapore. It's this, and he goes, I just paid 13 cents for this, or I got whatever the numbers are. Right. So it's like but it's interesting to see that and explore, But you know, I don't think they want to do that forever either because they're healthy and young right now. But what if you're not healthy? You want to be where healthcare is, right? Or you want to be by your family a little more, or I don't know. Unless you bring them with you, like you are now.
Cool. Awesome. Another great episode. Make sure to give us a subscription on the YouTube. Give us a like, write a review on iTunes, Spotify. Post 3 digestible clips each week on Facebook and YouTube. Send us in any questions you want answered, and we'll see you next week. It's time for the beach.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Real Estate Radio Hour. Don't forget to visit our website, realestateradiohour.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or your preferred podcast listening app. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes or sharing us with a friend. Until next time, stay awesome, Twin Cities.